We're going to talk Hokie football and what you've taken away from the first 4 games of the season.
What I've taken away is that this is a team that is incredibly fortunate to be 3-1 right now. We can talk, our heads off about how they could have won against Alabama, how they hung in there better than I think any of us could have anticipated, only allowing 206 yards to Nick Saban's incredibly efficient offense, especially when you look what they went up to Texas A&M and College Station and did, and the Hokies were able to contain them. But still, throw all of that out. This is a team that, much like last year, and even the year before that in some ways, very inconsistent on offense, dominant on defense, at least in stretches, and who knows, maybe that's good enough to win the ACC, maybe it won't. The next few weeks are going to tell the story. At Georgia Tech, at home for UNC in back-to-back games, that's the Coastal Division right there. If they go 2-0 against that, they can certainly wrap it up, and then you're really looking at that away game in Miami to see, if this team's got it. If you lose one or both of those games, kiss it goodbye, because these are 2 in-division opponents, not even in conference, in-division opponents that are both playing really well right now. Georgia Tech probably more than UNC, but, you look at Georgia Tech, they've got something like the 11th-ranked defense right now, 8th-ranked rushing attack. They're going to be a really tough game on the road for the Hokies. And then UNC, you got to contend with Bryn Renner in the spread offense. It might get a little ugly. We'll see.
Yeah, from what I've taken away, I think, is just how great this defense is. I still don't think we can necessarily read into Scott Loeffler and what he's trying to do with the offense, because Logan Thomas has made it clear that they're not doing everything in the playbook yet. And maybe that's because he doesn't trust the entire offense yet. Which, can you really blame them? But I think that you look at the defense, and you look at how bright the future is, because you're going to reload on the defensive line, but that secondary is just so dang
Well, when you
good.
can lose one of your starting cornerbacks and then essentially not miss a beat. And same goes for your starting outside linebacker.
You can say it got better. No offense to Anton Exum in the slightest. It'll be great to have him back, but they are better than they were last year.
Yeah, and speaking of Exum, he's probably going to come back for that UNC game. So think about that. You're in a world where Brandon Faison, a man who is tied for the country lead in interceptions right now, could find himself getting pushed out of playing time. That's the world that we're in right now. Or Kendall Fuller could, a guy who got his first pick and has looked every bit the 5-star prospect he was promised to be.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see when he comes back, just if we're going to talk about that for a moment, is maybe bringing in Kyle Fuller to that whip position like they're going to do against Georgia Tech. They do that a lot just because he's a great tackler. Why not? But I wouldn't mind seeing him in that position for a good amount of the...
Well, that's especially relevant with the news that I think was a little surprising on the injury report. Josh Trimble has played admirably out there, but he's doubtful for this Georgia Tech game with a hip. Now, part of that might be the fact that maybe he's a little banged up. They knew they were going to play Kyle at the whip, since that's what they've done the last 3 years, I believe, anyway. Maybe that was some of it, but if he's got injury issues the way that Ronnie Van Dyke did, then maybe when you've got all this wealth of cornerback depth, you get Kyle Fuller in there.
Yeah, so I think that's a great idea. But for me, other than the defense, I just think it's too early, and I really do agree with you in that the next 2-3 games are so important for the season. And it still feels like a team that could go 500 because the offense just is so bad.
Easily.
And it still also feels like a team that could go to the ACC championship game because the defense is so good. So I think it's very up in the air. We'll see over the next couple
Well,
weeks.
I've definitely learned that I love Trey Edmonds. That much I know.
I do like Trey Edmonds, but I think I like the whole entire defense better than anyone ever.
What about Willie Bird, the paper boy? You gotta love the paper boy. He always delivers. He delivered in that game.
He did. I don't know what he did. He put some voodoo magic on that guy's hands, but I guess if that's the case, then yes, I love Willie Bird as well.